Hello everyone, welcome to another video. As you can see, I am on replay mode. Reason being, I was away and unable to record on Tuesday and Monday. So I'm going to go through everything that happened in those 2 days, following on from my first video. And you can kind of see the things I was talking about and the stuff that's happened. So I've just played it back to the end of Monday, so you can see the whole of Monday. We're on the hourly candle right now. I'm just going to talk about a few things that are going on in the market right now. So, as you remember, we set these two levels which we boxed in the price action of Friday. Now, what I said was there's two things that are going to happen. We're going to clear this or clear this, which is going to be bullish or bearish. And as you can see here, we've just smashed through this previous support level right down here, and then we found this support here by the end of the day. So what that's saying is that the start of the week for the dollar pairs are going to be very bearish. Now, if you are keeping an eye on the news, what's going on at the moment with Donald Trump and the tariffs that he's putting on China, Canada, Mexico, and then following on in a few weeks Europe as well, it's causing a lot of volatility in the market. We are getting a brief downswing of dollar pairs, and a lot of the stocks in the stock market are also going down. S&P 500, Nasdaq, but I think that'll probably be something that's temporary just due to volatility and uncertainty that's happened. It usually does happen, and it creates that kind of movement. Anyway, so following on from this, what I'm going to do is I will do Monday on each pair, and then I'll follow on to Tuesday, and then we'll be caught up for Wednesday, which is today. So it's 9:22 a.m. now in the UK. So yeah, as you can see here, we have found this support around this 106 level. Now, what we are going to be looking for to see if we are going to break any of these lows here. As you can see, if I look at the 4-hour chart, we're going to be looking at see if we're going to break any of these new lows here, which were from last week, February, or are we going to start to break these lows here where there's kind of been nothing changed since November really. Last time we were there was November. We touched it in December, and then we've just been like that. So that's the kind of bottom of the overall curve of the downward swing. So this week we're going to look to see if we break and close under these areas or in between here, because that is really quite a considerable low from Friday the 8th of November really, where it was there and then we were trading below there and up to there. So we're actually on that upswing, boom, push through, support, up, down. So that's what we're going to be looking for initially later on in this week to see what kind of happens there. So moving on to USD JPY. So let's talk about what happened here. So again, another huge break of structure here, and this is in 1 day, you see. So we've got Monday all the way down to here. This is the full day from pretty much this candle. So this is where we were when we drew this support. We already had this resistance drew. Now what we've done on the 10 o'clock 4-hour candle, we've taken a big push up. We've swept all this liquidity that was above here, which we found previous resistance, and then we've just smashed all the way down. So here we've got the most recent major support, and then prior to that, if we look all the way back, we can see it hit there again in December, and then again in kind of October time. So this is what we're looking for right now, is to see, is any of this going to get a break and close underneath, because what will affect it is the dollar. If the dollar keeps going down, then Japanese yen is going to get stronger. Therefore, we're going to be it's going to be worth less. We're going to get less for our money if we are trading that pair. So that's what we see here. We need to see if we're going to break this 148,500 level. When I go on to Tuesday, we'll see if we have. We're currently on Monday at the minute. Let's move on to USD CAD now. Now this, funnily enough, which is quite strange, has actually found quite a bit of bullish momentum. Now, as you can see here, it never really broke this area which we did on Monday. Never broke it. But here, when I created this block here, which was a fair value gap, 4-hour fair value gap, where we've pushed up and rejected, it kind of swept the full gap, come down, but then we're opening as a green candle. So we'll see if Tuesday become bullish or bearish, if we took another sweep or back down. But so the key area for here is 144,500, and then we've got 143,700. So price is kind of boxed in right now between these two areas. So that's what we're kind of looking to trade against. It's still quite hard to go in one direction, whether we're going to go for a bullish or a bearish move. But what we'll be looking for either is if we're going to get a retest of these highs, if we sweep, retest and push back up, or if we sweep, retest and push back down, then that kind of confirms which moves we'd be looking at. Next, we are on a Swiss franc. Now, as I spoke about on Monday, in order to be in buys, we would need to break this and retest for that. We didn't even get anywhere close, and we've gone exactly to where we were pretty much here and just pushed straight down with no green candles. It's been 100% bearish. So this is a 90.4 area roughly. As I said, I always trade off all numbers, and we're heading towards this 89,400 level. So that's about 100 ticks of movement there. What we'll be looking for here is a marked 89 dead number right now. You can see what it's trading at now here, 88 today. So just ignore that until we go on to the next day. So just ignore that for now whilst we're in this replayed mode. But what we're going to be looking at is to see if we're going to break through here or here and close under or sweep. So we've got the key areas here to look for, which would be 89,200. Are we going to get any rejections off that, or are we going to get any rejections off this 90.4, 9400? Right, let's move on to NZD. So as I said on NZD, it is a slow moving pair. Here we are, Sunday, Monday. This is the full day. Now we have took up quite a big move and we've closed above, but then we've closed back on this area again here, which is kind of not much of a big movement at all. The key area that's rejected from here is this 56,400 level, and then we've got this support roughly around here now of 56 dead. So what we're going to be looking at is if we're going to break and close under any of these, and see if we're going to start to place buys at around the 56,200 area, which is at the top of this previous resistance level. So 56,200 is going to be our kind of where we'll be looking for buys if we can close above here again, and then we'll be targeting these old highs up here, which would be 56,700. AUD, pretty much the same kind of thing, apart from we have closed below again here. We've took a high here. This is the last major high on the 4-hour candle at the 62,545 area. This was on the 2 o'clock candle, so 4 hours close at 6, where this one reopened and then we just dumped, which was in the afternoon session, and then we've reopened around here. So what we're going to be looking for, if we are looking for buys like we are on the NZD pair, I would say we're going to be looking for some support probably from this 62 area, where we've not really, we've not actually closed below it at all. We've swept it, but we've not closed below it. So I'd be looking to see if we're going to retest this to target these other highs again, which would be a fairly decent area of profitability. Got 53 pips here, not too bad. So that's probably where we're going to be looking to target if we do retrace down to here. Moving on to the euro. So very interesting moves on the euro at the moment. We've seen some really big positive push from pretty much from when we opened. So as I said here, in order to be in buys, we need to get a break from here and a retest. Now on the 4 hour, I can't see any retest. If I was to drop down onto the hour, if we've got any, I mean, it's just been so bullish. Like, it would have been difficult to justify any position without just going in on a market order. I mean, the only way you could potentially look is we've got this 12 o'clock candle here, then we've got this open here. Maybe if we've got a push down, look for an entry at 104,600. So we've got the 5 minute. We could have taken something. Yeah, that's the only one I could look at. 104,600 push up and would have entered, but I hadn't really entered that time ever, so it would have been fairly difficult to get an entry in. But we've got our confirmation now that we are definitely in some sort of uptrend, at least for now. But yeah, we found the rejections areas here, 105.4. Now I think I said on the video that in order for us to definitely be in buys on euro, we need to clear the 105 area and then use it as support. So that's what I'll be looking at for tomorrow, as in Tuesday, after we've done this replay mode, to see where we end up. So we'll see that on the next bit of the video. But I've got GBP, very similar kind of stuff, and as I said guys, apologies for all these lines, but this is just marking out my areas for entries. So we had, I think I've got rid of the other box actually, but here was where we were buying from. We've not even touched that level, and again same with euro, just flying right up. Now we have cleared these highs of 1710, and if we look across here, this is where this area is here. So what we'll be looking at next is the if we can get to the 108 price, not 108, sorry, 128, we're at 127 now, 127,500, I don't know why that says 125. Yeah, but we're looking to see if we're going to retest any of these big areas here, because this is really where the biggest part of the resistance has been. You kind of get this big push down and then right all the way up. Now this is the next bit where we potentially could be targeting what areas we're going to go for. This is what we would be thinking on Monday, like, are we going to keep going up? So we can see we've got this resistance here, which is pretty standard stuff. It'll always tend to do that, but then are we going to push back and then use this as support? So that's what we'll be looking for if we were trading on a Monday, to see, right, this is the next area of resistance. We've hit it, we've swept it ever so slightly. On Tuesday we're going to keep pushing, so that's what we're looking at. Last but not least, we've got gold. So as you can see here, gold got to its final low of the run, which is exactly the point of where it was last touched, which is here. Now, as I keep saying in videos, price always returns to the same place, but it's when it's going to return back, and that's what you've got to look at. So don't jump to conclusions and put an order here when the price is going down and then get swept and it does exactly what you said it was going to do, but you've just been stopped out. You need to see first, and that's why it's good to see this candle. We hit here, bam, we retested it again, these two, and then we've not touched it since. So what you'd be looking at if you were trading this area here is you got your confirmation, you got your rejection, and once that's happened you'll be thinking, right, where's the next best structure to look at? Well, you'd be looking at where resistance has become support. So this would probably be one of your areas which you would want to take, which is 2854. Now it's easier to say once it's happened, but I'm just using it as an example, as I always say, where resistance has become support. You push through here and you think, right, that candle there, let's look at entering on that, or here, this candle here, or here, you know, going for a long. Now it's not always going to work, but you give yourself the best opportunity. So what we're going to be looking across the week and tomorrow on Wednesday is, are we going to go here and reject, or are we going to push through and use it as support? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sort out the next session for the Tuesday. I'm just going to pause the video and then get it all set up. Yes, so we're back Tuesday to see what happened over the Tuesday period. Now, as I said, we need to see what the reactions are going to be from this area so we can at least determine, but it's pretty obvious what's happening. We're just getting some huge downtrends now, really big sell-off here, which means we have kind of got our confirmation for the rest of the week in terms of the bias which we'll be looking at on anything that's dollar pairs, the start dollar, so USD JPY, USD CAD, USD CHF. We're most likely looking at sales now. So as you can see here at the 106 area where we've had previous support, that has now become quite a key resistance area. So we'll just mark that up so we can see the 106 dead. And we finished closing pretty much around this 105 area as the support level. So we've got this kind of zone now which we're playing off, which is here. Now as you can see here, this is where we previously had support. Now what I'm probably going to be doing is I'm just marking that up just as kind of a point of reference, just to keep in mind. So what we're going to be looking at through Wednesday, which is today, is to see if we're going to have a midweek reversal, or we're going to pull back a little bit and see where the pairs go. It is a possibility. We'll just have to see. Or are we going to keep going down and then close below this area here, which we marked out, which is the last bit of support, which is December. So this is kind of, again, like we've seen, these big kind of semicircle, whatever you want to call it, where it's pushing up and then it comes right back down to meet. Now are we going to sweep that and then end up here, which is at the next kind of key level, which is 104, or we're going to find support at 105? So this is it, pretty simple. We've got 106 key support, that's been broken. Now we've found 105. The next key support, is that going to get broken? And if not, likely it's probably going to go to around 104. So that's what we're going to be looking at. So as we stand on Tuesday, for Wednesday, we're going to be looking at sells on most USD pairs. So I'm going to go through now. So we'll be on USD JPY. Now this is interesting, and this is why I say on most, not all, because things like this can happen where, as I said here, we've found this support here at 148. Yesterday we closed on this candle here. We swept that liquidity, pushed down again, and then at the open of the 2 p.m. candle, we found a load of support here. Now what's interesting is, again, support becomes resistance. Where we found this previous support, we've pushed through, we've gone up to the area again, kind of the 150, 150.2, 0.3 area. We've hit it, and then we've found this kind of resistance again. So what we're going to be looking at is this just a reversal to keep going back down and then push back down, or are we going to start to find more momentum and push back up? So this is kind of the key area here to determine what I'm going to be looking for in terms of buying and selling. It's a lot closer now than you would realize, where before we were kind of like, right, we're here in the middle, we need this to break and this to test and whatever. Now we're going to have a clear direction. We just add things together. So we've got the DXY hitting lows from December. That's the first tick of the sells. Secondly, on this, we've created a new low and we've got a pullback. Now are we going to reject off here and come back down? If we do, then that's tick number 2 to look for sells, and then after that we just look for the best position. So what we're going to be looking for on Wednesday is to see, right, are we going to sweep this and come down, or are we going to sweep this and go up, back up here? But in this zone, I wouldn't really want to get too many trades in. I wouldn't really want to be buying off here, to be honest, because as we've seen, we're at this key level here. But I'd be happy to sell from this area because this looks like a pullback. And if you can see here, if we just move this across, we've had previous resistance here already, previous resistance. As you can see, on Tuesday the 25th, we had it on the 27th. We've also now potentially got it on Wednesday the 5th, and then we've had it as support on Monday the 3rd. So you can see it is a key level. Now I'll use 150 as the area just because it's a nice round number, and we'll see what happens with that at the end of the day on Wednesday, and see what happens during the day. So let's look at CAD, USD CAD, Canadian dollar. Now yesterday, go back on the 4 hour, as we said, we've got this big push. We opened up here, Now again, this area is getting heavily respected, which is the 145 area, 145 500. It can't be broken, but then the other kind of frustrating thing is this level's not getting broken either, so it is quite difficult, which makes me feel that at some point we are going to get some kind of aggressive move in one direction, but I really cannot tell you or estimate because we've just been bouncing like this, which means at some point, which will most likely be news, I think. Let's see what we've got today on news. USD, this is a key area of news on Wednesday, and then we've got ISM. Now what tends to happen with news when we've got one at 1:15 and one at 3, or one at 1:30, one at 3, is one might not make any difference, say 1 o'clock, hardly any movement, but then the big moves at 3, or we'll have a really big move at 1:15, but then nothing really at 3. So this is why I would say do not put any trades on between 1 and 3 o'clock just for that point, because it's really hard to justify the direction, because you just get, if you want to trade news, but I personally don't, just because it is quite difficult. Some people are really good at it. Personally, I just don't find it profitable. It's too much of a gamble. But yeah, so what we're going to be looking for after the first section of news, 1:15, what's going to get broken here, and after the second section of news, we'll be looking at, are we going to hold the area that we're at, or we're going to return and sweep it and go in a different direction. So they're the two things we're going to be looking at. So again, just keep the exact same levels as they were all week. We'll just keep these marked. USD CHF. Now, just get rid of this. So this is where we closed, and this is where we've opened pretty much. Now we have just taken out this low, which we spoke about, the 89, but we've found support at the 88.70 area. So we are still going to be looking at sells, as you can see here. Originally we just smashed through that, but we are starting to find a bit of support. Now I'll probably say the next area of kind of resistance I'll be looking at is this one here, 89.6, because of this here, where we found support, resistance, push through, boom, bit of support here. Remember, these are 4-hour candles. Resistance, support, support, resistance. It's kind of an area which I'll be looking at just to see what direction we're going at, because we are pretty obviously in sells, but we have got the news. But as you can see here, lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low, rejection, bam, from all lower lows. It could make sense, and as you can see here, we are starting to get kind of around the same area. There's 12 pips from there to there. That's pretty much, 5 pips from there. So, and then here, which I've just noticed as well. So this is kind of, for me personally, quite a key area which I'd be looking at. Also, it's pretty much 50% of that. Let's just see. Yeah, it is 50% of that. 89, 58.1. So yeah, that's the area I'd be looking for to see what we're going to do. We're going to, 3 options really. We can push, reject totally, push, sweep, come down, or push, sweep, retest. They're the 3 things that can usually happen in that scenario. So that's what we'll be looking for on here. So it's pretty easy on this one. We're looking for this area. If it doesn't hit, we'll go back down. And then we're going to retest off there. We're just going to bounce in between. That's the first thing we're going to be looking at. So we've got this support, this estimated rejection area. What we're going to be doing. NZD. Let's have a look, see where we ended up. So this is where we closed, or opened rather. This is where we closed. So we've found a really bullish area, and it's come to this area here, which is a 56,700 area, which, as you can see here, touches here, touches here, touches here, and now here. Now this is the next area I'll be looking at, which is a 56,400, to see if we can continue our bullish momentum. For Wednesday, this is probably where I'll be looking for rejections off to see if we can get push up. So that's the first kind of area I'll be looking for, and then the next one is here, if we get a sweep and push down. So the key areas I'll be looking for here is a 56.40, 56.70, and that is quite a tight area. It's only 30 pips. However, you know what this pair is like, same with the Aussie pair, it is a slow mover. So I would be looking for buys, hopefully, around here if we can weather the news. Now, I don't know where I put my stop right now, but let's just leave it at 15 pips. If we're going to go for a 30 pip move, let's just go for a nice 2 to 1, make it easier. Something like that, not exactly that, but something along these lines as well. Probably looking at if we can hold this area, and it's going to be pretty similar on AUD, I imagine. Right, so here we are. This was the original trade, so that would have been a decent trade. Right now we are on here, so we closed there, opened here, and again we've tapped into this area again and not touched it. So what I'll be looking for next, we found this rejection here, which is from like this candle, where I've had similar touches here, 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 and now here. So we are in a bearish candle on here. And what I'm going to be looking at next is this area going to get retested? We've got this huge push here, which is just loads of orders. Now, is that going to get refilled and back up? Or are we going to find some support around this candle or around this candle? So that's what we've been looking at for Wednesday, is these areas from here to here for some support. I don't think that we're going to push down again, but we could. But initially what we're going to be looking for is these areas to be tested again, where resistance becomes support. So we're going to be looking around 62.30, between 62.30 and 62.20 areas, 62.10. Yeah, so I'm just going to move this like this. It's a bit of an ugly sight to see, but it's just, this is the kind of area where I want to see where we're going, which is about a 30 pip. So we can see where it touches throughout the day, and then when it becomes after news, after 3, we can see where it's been rejected from, and then that's when we can determine our entries. Euro, so this is where we closed here, this is where we opened. We have just made a huge push. Now this is easy to read, we're clearly going up. It's quite difficult for entries because there's just such clean breaks. So as you can see here, this area of the last point of rejection is very similar to here, which was on the 6th of December, which is at 106.30. The next point is this area here. Now that's where we need to see where we're going next, is this area right over here, sorry, here, 106.4. and then what I've done is I've marked out all these other key areas. We've got 106.85, and we've got 107.20, 107.25, 107.7, and then right at the top we've got 108.25. That's the area. So that's what we're going to be looking at the end of Wednesday. Are we going to reject off any of these? Are we going to find any support? I'll probably say the next key support level, I'll probably have to drop down to the hourly candle, is going to be maybe here. If we get that, I'm not too sure, 105.600. That's what we're going to be looking at for support, or even here, 106 dead. Let's mark this again, 106 dead. But yeah, we're going to be looking at buys on Euro for sure. But we need to see what happens with the news, because it could be a massive dump. The price has gone up from Monday from 104 to 106 here, which is 200 ticks, which is quite a lot for Euro in 2 days. It's actually a lot. So next we're going to look at the GBP. So exact same thing. I actually took this trade, which I'll talk you through now, on Tuesday. It's a bit of a long burner, but it was quite a nice little trade. So where are we here? Yep, so I hit this high and I wait for this sweep. So I marked out these levels here, which were previous rejection levels of support. and I could tell that we are in an uptrend. So I set my limit. I'll show you the trade after this, you'll be able to see. But I set the limit on here for a buy. We nearly got stopped out, to be fair, because I was going to set it here, but then because when I was looking for the entry, we've got such a big push, I thought, oh my god, I think this might be it, but you know, I might have missed the entry. But nearly got stopped out by about 3 pips, but then we ran right up for a 3 to 1, I think it was. I'll just show you on here. So this is the trade on my, this is an evaluation account. I'm in a little bit of drawdown. History, let's just have a look. What is it again? Sorry. Actually, if I just do this, let's see it. There we go. So there's a trade there. 3 lots, 107.12. I put my stop at 195, so it nearly stopped me out there. There we go. 34. I could have probably, well, obviously could have got more out of it, but I literally put it at the top of this area, which is 127.50ish. So yeah, that was a nice little trade off that, and that was using the $5 levels, which I've spoken about. I just find it a lot easier to use specific levels rather than using fair value gaps. Fair value gaps are good to get an idea of just something to add, but I like to use structure. So here 1120, bam, again, we found it here, little sweet, bam, again, so it's clearly a key level of interest. Yeah, so that was that trade. But back to the pair now. So let's go. So yeah, we're all the way up here now. So what we're going to look at is where we'd be looking where prices are going to go now. Same with Euro USD. It's quite difficult to see kind of where the support and resistance would be. Clearly we've got the resistance here, but each every time there is kind of major resistance, it just smashes through it. So we're obviously looking for buys, but what I've done is I've marked out some key levels to which we're going to look to see if we can break. It's very similar to Euro USD in terms of the price movements, but I would say GBP is moving quite quicker. So up here we've got the 128 area. We need to see a break and retest of that area at some point, and see if we can hold above it to keep going in for buys, because as you can see here, it's been a previous resistance level. We've not hit that area since 6th of December, which funnily enough is the same day as Euro when that hit its high. And then I've marked these areas out here. 12832 area, which is where previous support has been. We've not really tested that area at all, maybe slightly here, but realistically it's just been here. So this is another area which we're going to look at, and then after that got some more movement above here, which we're going to look at probably after Wednesday, which will maybe we look at the 130 areas. But that seems so far away when we were down here on the 11th of Feb, or down here when we've broken this structure and used it as support 28th of Feb, but now, you know, we're all the way up here. So this is what we've got to look at next. It's always just adding bits on that, right, we're going to use this as support now, right, cool, that's our confirmation along with the DXY being bearish. And then that's when we look at the next day, right, okay, what's the DXY done, where's it closed? Okay, well, it's closed above this previous support zone, and whereas GBP always closed below this previous resistance, right, we may be looking at sells today. You know, that's how we kind of paint a picture in terms of what we're going to do, and that's why you've always got to keep on top of key levels of interest, areas of interest. So the next area which we'll be looking at is the 128, which is here, 128.30 area, 128 areas here, and then after that we're going to be looking at key areas of interest, which are probably going to be 1299, 1230, and then we've got this area here potentially, which is 129, which I will mark out. So that's where we're going to be looking at. So this is the zones in which we're going to be playing off at the moment. These lines here, I'll just mark it out. Actually, no, I won't do any more lines, it's too much. 129 And then we've got the 128. That's where we're going to be looking at next, which is a 100 pip zone. So that's what I've marked out, the 100 pip zone. And what I've done, what I mean by the 100 pip zone is, this is the limit of where you're going to do your TP. The furthest you want to be doing is 129, because after that you're going to start to get some areas of interest which might get tested and rejected. So that is where I'll do the maximum 129 for you take profits on any orders. Apart from that, you know, we might find support here or resistance at the 128 300 area, 128 30. If we find support on there, I'd be looking for buys around that area, which is here, you know, support becomes resistance, and then looking to target these previous highs. That's what I'd be doing. And lastly, gold has been quite tricky to trade, if I'm honest. But as you can see here, where I drew this box, we've got a sweep and a rejection. Now what we're going to be looking at on gold, again, same thing. This area here is a 12924, and then we rejected off 12930, which is here. Mark this out in red. Now what we're going to be looking at now is to push through this, finally push through this if we can, and use it as support to target these highs. But if we do what we did again yesterday, you know, a classic M formation, boom, boom, and then push down, then we'll be looking for sells. So to be honest, I'm 50-50 on this. We've kind of reached this neckline here. We've pushed, found this big support level here. Been really bullish up until this point, which funnily enough is where the major support was for this area in time, which was the week of February, starting from Monday the 17th, and then from Monday open on the 24th, which was last week I believe, we had this big bearish, and then March open bullish up to this neckline. So what we're going to be looking at is two things on this. Are we going to reject off where this box is, basically from this price here to here again, and continue to go down? Are we going to push through for support? So the only time I'm going to be looking for orders and entries on this gold area is if we push through here and we reject, then I'll be looking for buys only when we get a rejection off this area or similar. Or if it sells, we're going to push up anywhere around here and then reject and clear this. So it's quite a big area. 2900 is the main support and 2930 is main resistance. So it's 300 pips. Now anyone who trades gold knows 300 pips is not a huge amount. It can move that in a day. For example, 29884 here up to this area, 29921. That's about 400 pip move ish, give or take 50 pips, and that's just in one 4-hour candle. So that's what we'll be looking at, and we've got two major news on Wednesday. So that's what my area is. So I'm going to mark this area out here, which is for strong buys, and this area here for the sells. Now again, I apologize for all the lines, but the reason I've got it is strictly for entries. As you can see, it's not as bad, and as you can see what I mean when it rejects off these $2 areas, you can see it's pretty obvious. So that's why it's kind of good to get a more concise entry. But you can see here it's not a huge deal of price movement, it's just that bit there. So this is the kind of no man's land, if you want to call it that. And what I'll be looking for is a sweep, retest, push up, or just a rejection, or a sweep, push back, rejection down, and then the same in the opposite. If we're going to go down here, boom, or down here, sweep up like that, or down here, sweep, rejection, back down. So that's kind of where we're at. So with gold, I'll mark this, and what I do when I do the excuse me, I don't know why it's not letting me do that. Maybe if I turn all these off. So there we go. So what I do with these ones when I've got the greens is I'll put in capital S letters. I'll just put buys, which means the strong buys is hit because we haven't broke, and then here sells, and that's it. It's as simple as that. This bit in between, because it's not confident on the what's going on here, because it's not confident on the direction, because we've kind of been bouncing in between, there's no point getting in that. Like some people, which is fine, will sell off here or here or here, but because gold's been so unpredictable, so hard to read, I'm happy to trade some other pairs whilst this or this gets, whilst I wait for that to happen, because that's the whole thing with trading. Be patient. Don't put all your eggs in one basket and just stare at the screen waiting for something and getting a trade because you're frustrated. Just leave it and then wait, and then it might take 2 days, might take a day, whatever, but by the time it's done and it's swept, you've not lost any money and you're giving yourself the best opportunity to trade. So yeah, that's where we're at now on these. So I'm just getting used to these videos, so they're not going to be absolutely 100% bang on, but I'm going to try to get better each time I record the screen and just show what I do. That's all I'm doing on these videos, just showing my thought process behind the analysis of how I do my entries, and how I analyse the markets and look and prepare myself for each session of the day. That's what it is. That's what I'm trying to do. I am going to start to add some more videos in as I get better at the recording of it. So if you've got any comments, questions, feedback, positive, negative, just put it in. I'm happy to answer anything. I can take any criticisms, that's absolutely fine. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much.